Be a man, make some soup.
Yes. I love that song. That's the Ratatouille version. Be a rat. Something, 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 make some soup.
Something, 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 ratatouille. Something, something, something popular.
Let's get down to business and begin this episode of Nostalgia Club.
Wow!
Hello! This is a podcast where three sound designers talk about things that make them nostalgic most of the time. Hi, my name is Jino. We're talking about Mulan with my two co-hosts.
Us.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, hold on, names.
Michael.
And Victoria.
And this is Mulan. We're talking about Mulan.
The
Disclaimer.
OG Mulan. Well, not the OG Mulan.
Yeah,
But
the 1998 film Mulan, not to be confused with the 2020 film.
Or the ancient Mulan.
Yeah, so quick preface. This is not going to be an episode where we talk about the historical inaccuracies of this movie. We know that it's not a historically accurate or even accurate to the original Ballad of Mulan, because it's like a ballad folktale type of thing. There are people online who have done very informative and fun videos about that specifically. You should check out Shiran J. Zhao's video about this movie. It's very fun. And that will tell you all about the historical accuracies and inaccuracies of this movie. But that's not our job because we are not qualified to do that. We're just here to talk about why we like the movie. We'll probably talk about a little bit of the original Mulan and some of the inspirations or some of our personal knowledge of that. But aside from that, we're just here to talk about this movie and how it was very impactful for us as kids.
Woo!
Yay!
Woo! The 1998 version.
Yes.
Plot first or backstory first? Vibes first?
Let's do vibes first.
Vibes first. I'll do my vibes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jino.
Hi, Gino.
I'm Korean. And yet, nothing gets a bunch of Korean kids hyped than Disney's Mulan. Distinct memories. I used to go to a Korean Saturday school, like a Korean community center, and sometimes they would send us on trips to places.
Nice.
Like
Ooh.
Korea once.
Wow.
And
How old were you?
child.
Child age?
Yeah, like 10
Okay.
maybe?
Oh, okay.
Did
Yeah.
did everyone...
Old enough that you could remember going.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Specifically old enough to wander downstairs from the hostel we were staying at one day to see my entire class enraptured with Disney's 1998 Mulan,
Wow.
singing all the songs. Nothing gets a group of Asian kids more
That's so
riled
true,
up
yeah.
than Mulan. It's specifically a bunch of Asian American kids, I should say, because
Yeah.
Victoria and I we were all talking about this, how this is a very important, impactful movie for an Asian American perspective specifically.
Or more like Asian diaspora.
Asian diaspora,
Yeah.
and that we can't really speak to like being born on the continent of Asia and growing up in that culture and like what that feels like to watch Mulan. But for me as a kid, very much like, they're like me, kind of.
Yeah.
Sort of. Also, I was Cheng in a performance of Mulan in high school my senior year.
Oh, wait, have you mentioned this before?
Yeah.
I think I've
He's
mentioned
told
this
us about
before.
it.
Yeah. I don't remember how
I
much
hear
I've told
your
about
mom
it.
has a recording.
Yeah. Somewhere.
Dear Gino's mom, I know you're listening to this episode. Please somehow
no.
get us this video.
Oh no. I've already gone through this once with my fiance when we went to visit home and my mom sat us all down and was like, "We're watching this."
Yes.
I was like, "No."
Yeah.
No, it's a time. I don't remember
And
how
then
much
we'll
I've talked about
digitize
this.
it and put it on the Nostalgia Club
No.
Blue Sky.
No, we don't have to do that. I've talked about it before, so I'll be very brief because I don't want to repeat myself too much. Basically, I went to a very small, mostly white high school. I decided to do Mulan my senior year. I'd done the High School Musical every year up till that point. I'd never gotten like a major role, maybe just like a couple of lines. But they cast me as a lead part as Cheng, partially because I was a senior, mostly because I was Asian. And to their credit, they did a very good job of scooping up basically every single person who had even a trace of Asian ancestry and plopping them into a speaking role in this musical. And they did a pretty good job with it.
Nice.
My brother was Mushu.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just like, all the Asian kids, please, we're doing Mulan, please get in here. I was very scrawny. I did not look like a Cheng. My only saving grace was that I knew how to like spin a bow staff very slowly, so I just kind of did that for the second half of Be a Man.
Hell yeah.
I permanently damaged my vocal cords
Oh.
singing as Cheng because I had no vocal training and no one told me what I was doing was wrong.
Oh.
And so even now, my throat hurts all the time.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. You knew this. Did I not tell you this?
I don't recall.
I've eaten so many Ricola cough drops in my life, just trying to deal with the fact that I did not know what I was doing in my senior year of high school, singing Be a Man over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh my gosh. Well, I remember you telling us, I think, the story of you playing Cheng, but
Yeah, you left this part out.
yeah, that's
Oh.
that's brutal.
It's why like I can't talk for long periods of time, and that why singing now, I do enjoy the concept of singing, but it's very painful to me. So I just generally don't do it or like shout. Like I become hoarse very quickly when I shout. Like in
Dang,
this
and we're
podcast.
making you do a podcast.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Multiple times on this podcast, we've been like, Jino, sing with us.
But this podcast is good because it's helping rebuild, strengthen the muscles.
Oh,
I
okay.
hope so.
I
That's
think
good.
that's how I justify it to myself.
Okay.
The one
You should
story.
see like a vocal coach of some sort.
What do you think I have that money for a vocal coach?
That's true.
Please donate to Nostalgia.
Donate to the Ko-fi to help
I
rebuild
know.
Gino's vocal cords.
My vocal cords are fine. They're just a little roughed up.
They're the money makers. Like, come on, you're on mic. You gotta repair them. Donate to the Ko-fi.
Man.
Help us repair Gino's vocal cords.
My one story from that experience is that the girl playing Mulan was very, very good. Like a supremely dedicated and convincing actress.
Mhm.
So much so, and I think I've told this before, so much so that she convinced me so thoroughly of her performance of like being in love with Cheng that it made me on stage uncomfortable because she looked at me with such like loving conviction, and like me as like awkward high school Gina was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I would like not react. I would not like, engage with her as a scene partner. I'd be like, oh, look at the audience. There's my mom. I can't see because I don't have my glasses because Cheng
So you're
wouldn't wear
like
glasses.
Actually, that's kind of a little true to Shang's character, though.
It is, but
A
it's
little
like
bit.
it causes like kind of an unsatisfying like stage performance,
They're like, this Shang is really
This Cheng is
uncomfortable.
really wooden. So she-
Paralyzed
yeah.
by duty.
She did a fantastic job. I was serviceable.
Well, I mean, come on, man. You were leading the armies of China against
Yeah.
the Han invasion.
Yeah.
One can forgive you for being a little out of sorts.
We had one on. He killed it. He was a big stage presence, but we had one guy.
Did he just show up for the Hun scenes to be
Yeah.
like,
He's like, me and my army off stage are very angry or something.
To be fair, I guess the scenes with the Huns, which, by the way, we do acknowledge that this is an extremely racist, stereotypical depiction of Central Asians in this movie.
Mm.
But anytime they show up in the movie, they're just kind of there to be like, oh, we're bad.
They are, in the movie, they are extremely competent, though.
That's true.
I do appreciate they're not like the bumbling sort of bad
Yeah,
guys like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, look, boss, I found a thing.
They're there to like remind you of the constant threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Like-
in terms of like scenes, like they don't have too much
Yeah.
till the end.
That's the extent of my Mulan experience, I guess.
That's a pretty thorough Mulan experience.
Yeah,
though.
that's like you were right at the center of the action there.
Yeah.
Very cool thing was that one of the dads of the kid who played the advisor made us all custom wooden swords that were very
Ooh.
cool. So we had like actual like heavy wooden swords that we were running around with on stage.
Dang.
And like we would
must have been
sword fight with
fun.
them and like dent them and stuff in the background. It was
Nice.
fun. It was a really good time.
Wow.
My brother killed it because he's got way more theatrical experience than I did. He got like the full like red face paint and everything, and like a red suit as Mushu.
Wow.
Yeah, he was awesome.
A very dapper Mushu.
Yeah.
That does sound like if there was, again, a stage performance of Mulan, I would like the idea of like a nice, bright red suited up, like
Yeah.
dapper, as you said, Mushu. That'd be like, that would kill. That would slay.
Yeah. What about you, Michael?
Mulan vibes. Love Mulan. I think it's
Mhm.
my dad's favorite Disney movie as well.
Oh.
I don't have an excessive amount of details as to why. I think he loves Mushu, and I think he loves just the whole vibe of it and Mulan's headstrongness and all that. I love Mulan. it's funny because you ask like vibes, and it's like, what other vibe?
It's great.
It's
yeah.
anyone you ask about Mulan is going to be like, yes.
Yeah.
Mulan? Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't want to hit up one story with another because we haven't talked about the movie so much yet. But I was also in a theater performance of Mulan.
Yes.
No, I was not in high school. This was like theater for tykes kind of thing. This was like you take your I don't know how old I would have been. Kindergarten age approximate.
Yeah.
It's like 5-6 years old.
Yeah, or it must have been something like that. And you'd send them to, the little theater camp for a chunk of the day during the summer or something. And, it's the kind of thing where we have a heavily abridged version of Mulan where like all the kids get to sing like one song or something. And,
That's
you learn
so cute.
choreography, which is not like everyone moving in a group, but like, everyone in a line independently moving their arm up and down. And this is what I remember.
Yeah.
And then, during the day, you're also doing little enrichment activities and arts and crafts.
Yeah.
As you might imagine, it was like 20 girls and then maybe 3 guys counting me. And it was the kind of thing where since it's young, it's like you just get to play whatever part you want. So we had 20 Mulans all on the stage. And then the 2 other boys were like, I want to be Cheng. And I was like, I want to be Shan Yu.
Oh man, that's not a good fight. Shan Yu versus 20 Mulans and 2 Shangs. Shan Yu is screwed.
But this is also like, because everybody loves the villains. And I certainly loved the villains.
I mean, also, you got like full ownership of the role of the villain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember as a little kid, I wanted to be taken seriously. There's also a VHS recording of this.
Guys.
And so when I came out, I was like, I'm Shan Yu. And of course, all the parents are like, that's great. look at him. And you can see my expression like, what the heck? They're not afraid of me.
They're like, hee hee, wow, clapping.
You're like, oh, what a good
No, cower. I'm going to burn China, cower.
I am the barbarian. I am the fear of your nightmares. Why are you laughing? But similarly, that. And so having to try and on stage menace 20 Mulans and 2 Shangs.
That's so funny to me. like that scene at the end where he's like, the soldier from the mountain, and then like 19 more pop out and he's like, oh.
I didn't expect.
Why so many?
That's really
Can we talk
funny.
about this?
All right, let's be calm.
Let's get a drink.
Since there were 19 of them, did they each get a line, or did they all have to say their lines at the same time?
Oh, they all said their lines at the same time. And it was the kind of thing where they're all like taking cues from each other because we're like little kids. There's only so much you can memorize.
That's true. I guess that helps you memorize. You're like, I will fight for China. Yes, China.
Yeah, the kind of thing where you're like, China.
There's something so adorably comical about watching like really young kids try to perform like a stage thing. When I was, sorry, can I tangent off this?
Go.
When I was in also that age, like kindergarten age, my whole school would often put on a production, like a big ballet production every year.
Oh, wow.
And they would pull from all the grades. So like Nutcracker, Swan Lake, etc.
Dang, your school is intense.
Yeah,
I know we know this, but like,
was this the
geez.
same Montessori situation?
Yeah.
Wow.
They took the arts very seriously.
Apparently.
And they
Ballet.
they produced some like insane ballerinas. Just
Yeah.
tangent. But as a little kid, I was a horse in the Nutcracker or something.
Okay.
Or like, so we had very, very
It's
painful.
a small horse.
Yeah. We were pulling something. I don't know. So we had really, really painful like hair clips for like the mane. I just remember it being like excruciatingly painful, like tear-inducing. But the funny thing is that when we all went on stage for the actual performance, like it's really cute. Like 12 little like tiny kids like dressed like horses, like kind of trotting out. And I guess one of the kids was like, I'm gonna sit down, and all the rest of the kids went, she's sitting down. Yeah, that's a good idea. So everyone just sat, except for me. I was like close to the front, and I turned around and go, what? We're not sitting. So I grab a kid and I start dragging him across the stage. And my mom has a video of me trying to like haul like 10 kindergartners like, get to your feet. This is not our mark. We are not sitting. We are horses.
Once again, Jino's mom, please. Send us a link to these videos.
I'm full of regret. No. I'm not full of regret. You guys can watch that one because it's funny and cute when it's a little kid. When it's a high school age, like senior year Jino,
it is a little closer.
That's just like painful and awkward.
Yes, but it would also be fun for Victoria and me, even at your expense.
Okay. And with that, I'm retiring from the subject. Sorry, Michael, any more Mulan experiences?
That's the primary one, frankly, is just like, yep, Shan Yu.
Shan Yu and his cool bird.
Yeah, I don't think I got a bird. I think I got a pelt of some kind. Like fur, some fur vest.
I wanted you to say that you got like a little plush owl or bird or something on your shoulder.
Not to my memory.
Cute.
I do recall having to act out being hit by a firework at the end.
Nice.
And running across stage screaming.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Wow.
I had forgotten until now when you told us.
That both of you were in Mulan
shows.
Yeah. We were both in Mulan 1998. I was 1.
And I was 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I made a great Falcon. Victoria.
I did not have any Mulan theatrical experience. Mainly, well, not mainly, but none of my schools or anything like ever did anything like that. Like I would have been really excited to like be part of a Mulan stage production, but that never happened in any of the schools I went to. But also I had extreme stage fright. So it probably wouldn't have happened anyways. My experience with Mulan is mainly, obviously loved the movie as a kid. Anytime anyone asked me what my favorite Disney princess was, I would struggle not to say Mulan. It was like one of those weird things where like Mulan was very obviously like in the top 3 Disney princesses for me. But because she was the only Asian princess, I felt like I couldn't say her because that was too like cliche of me to say.
No, that's a thing.
Yeah. It also always bothered me if people just automatically assumed that my favorite Disney princess was Mulan.
Sure.
Because they'd be like, oh, who's your Disney princess? Probably Mulan, right? Which, like, for someone else, maybe they didn't mean it necessarily like, oh, you're Chinese, so you'll like the Chinese princess. But maybe they were just like, yeah, Mulan's awesome, which, like, everyone loves Mulan, like you said, Michael. But for me, there's, like, an additional layer of, like, I don't want it to be assumed that I like Mulan just because she's Chinese and I'm Chinese.
Yeah.
And so I always said like, oh, well, I relate to like Belle's character more because we both like reading. But then I'd be like, yeah, but Mulan's awesome too. You know, like one of those things. I went to Chinese school growing up. So we didn't read like the original Ballad of Mulan or anything, but we had like textbooks where as part of like the curriculum, they'd have like little comics for us where they'd tell stories and you would learn Chinese through that. So one of them was Mulan. So I do have like some vague knowledge of what the original tale is. Actually, in like the original, it's like the same premise, like Mulan goes to war in her father's place, right? But in the original, she actually like stays there for like, I don't know, like 10 years or something. She wins battles. She slowly makes her way up the ranks. She becomes a general or captain or something. And then she sort of like gets honored by the emperor for her successes. And she's like, actually, no, I'd rather just go home to my family. And then that's when her comrades basically realize that she's a woman. They're like, wait, what? You're a girl? And she's like, yeah, I've been a woman this whole time. So in the original, it's like she goes to war, she does all the stuff, but there's no like big reveal. She's not found out. It's revealed at the end. Lots of very iconic memes and quotes from this movie. It's always fun. Like Jino said, again, nothing rallies a group of Asian kids like songs from Mulan, specifically Be a Man. Like, I would be at camp and we'd be like, okay, what music should we play? And then just like a chorus of people being like, play Be a Man! And we just like sing to it. It's really fun.
It is really, really fun.
Even in the context of the movie, the irony of that song on multiple levels.
It's so good. And I love the callback to it, like the reprise of it at the end.
Where they all have to
where they're
dress as concubines or whatever.
Yeah.
Do we want to do a brief plot summary? I mean, I think most people sort of know the premise of Mulan, but if someone wants to just give a quick overview of the important plot points.
Okay, very brief. Ancient China. The Huns invade from the north, crossing the Great Wall. The emperor's like, oh no, raise an army of one man from every family. Mulan is the only child. Her father is injured. She is unable to uphold family tradition and appease a matchmaker to get married and follow that sort of honorable tradition. And so when her father gets called up to war, she disguises herself as a man and takes his place. Going with her is a cricket for some reason, and a little family spirit guardian dragon named Mushu. She goes to camp. She meets the captain named Cheng. They do a training montage. She's like, okay, I've proved myself as competent. They go to help Shang's father fight the enemy army. They get there too late. Shang's father and his army have been decimated. Mulan does a cool trick where she fires a cannon at a mountain, causing an avalanche to bury the enemy army. Hooray! The day is saved, except, oh no, Mulan's been injured. She is cared for by a doctor who comes out of nowhere and then vanishes immediately, just like summoned from the ether, I guess. Yeah. And Cheng finds out that she's a woman. Super, super big no-no, very dishonorable, very...
It's against the law, so it's...
That's the big thing.
Yeah,
it's against
the law, so if you're discovered, the punishment is death.
Yeah, but Cheng spares her life because she did a big military...
She saved his life specifically, but she also saved pretty much everyone's lives. Yeah.
At least it appears so.
Yeah.
So she's basically just sent home. But before she leaves, she sees that some of the enemy troops survive the avalanche and are actually going to infiltrate the capital. So she goes to the capital. The attackers launch an attack on the emperor, kidnap him. She rallies her former troops, her former comrades, her former soldiers, and they save the emperor. And the emperor's like, that was super dope. Join my council. And she's like, no, I'd rather go home. And he's like, all right, cool. Take these trophies. Away you go. And she goes home and her dad's like, I'm so glad you're alive. And then Shang shows up and he's like, hi, I would like to formally apologize for my actions earlier. And that's Mulan. How was that? Did I miss anything?
Great. It was great.
And Mushu's there the whole time. And he causes like 60% of the problems.
Yeah, no, one thing I definitely noted more when I was rewatching it this time is Mushu drives most of the plot.
Just like through antics.
Yeah, just through him, like, because he's sort of like been demoted as a guardian, and so he wants to reclaim his original title by helping Mulan become a hero. And so most of what he does is working towards that goal. And so the whole reason why the army even goes after like Shang's father is because Mushu makes up like, oh, we got to go over there and help them. Mm-hmm. Because he's worried that potentially like they might not ever even see battle. And so Mulan, like, she won't have been discovered, but she also won't have become a hero either. So he does that. And then also, like, he's the one who, like, sets off the first cannon that alerts the Huns to their position. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, this was an era of Disney where the animal sidekick characters do have a lot of weight. And some of it does feel a little bit like the protagonist is sort of just getting dragged around by, like, just having to, like, solve the problems that, like, their animal companions get them into. But I will say that by the third act, at least, Mulan is very proactive and confident, and she comes up with all the solutions and etc. So
yeah,
once everything in the mountains kicks off, it's game time.
Yeah. Like,
no more singing, just war.
Yeah, we got to talk about that because this movie is interesting because it is a musical movie. Like, they sing songs, but as soon as the total devastation reaches them, it's no longer a musical. There's not a single song in the rest of that movie, aside from, like, score, obviously, and the ending credits.
Which makes putting on a musical production, like a theater production, really weird.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because you're like, all right, we're going to learn all the songs, and then the second half is just a stage play. So it's completely different muscle. But, like, you're still, like, acting like a song's going to start at any second. You're like, oh, look over there. It's not a song. It's a fight or something.
Yeah. People reference this as, like, one of the greatest cinematic transitions in history because they're singing, like, what is a pretty goofy song. It's a song called A Girl Worth Fighting For. And it's basically all the soldiers just riffing on, like, oh, like, we want to get married to, like, this type of girl. And what type of girl do you want to get married to, Ping? And Mulan's like, someone with opinions. And they're like, nah, that's boring. Like, then it's like, I mean, it's a fun, like, it's a moment where you're like, oh, like, she's become one of them. Like, they're her friends now. It's also like they don't quite realize the actual weight and devastation of war yet because they themselves have never seen it. And then when they do see it, everyone, the viewer, the army, everyone is just like, okay, this is really bad. Yeah.
And it's like
an abrupt cut.
Yeah. Now that you bring it up, now that I think about it, having that scene preamble, like that big climactic fight within the mountains and everything, really makes you dread, like, what's going to happen when they run into these Huns?
Yeah.
Like, this could be bad.
Like their army they're just like basically like sort of like one division. And it's built up to be like Cheng's father is leading the more seasoned, like they basically like they start off the movie being fully confident that they can just handle it themselves. Like Cheng's father is like, we don't have to call in the reserves. We don't have to like conscript anyone. I think we can just handle it. And the emperor's like, no, let's just be better safe than sorry, you know? And yeah, it's a good thing because they got completely wiped out.
And it is a good thing, I guess, that Mushu forged that letter because
It's
otherwise they just
like,
wouldn't have encountered the Huns at all.
It's like one of those things that's like, it's very convenient, but, you know, Disney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives the characters an opportunity to resolve the conflict,
Yeah.
but it does put them in extreme danger in the process. That scene and the sound design they do with the distant voices where you just see, it's just so cinematic.
Yeah.
Like you just see one figure on the crest of that white ridge and then just like the mass of other bodies cloaking that ridge in darkness as they come up on the side of it. And the soundtrack too, which I think is by Jerry Goldsmith, who did a lot of old war movies.
Specifically like the song that plays when Mulan makes her big decision. I think it's literally called Mulan's Decision. I love that song.
That song,
it slaps.
It stood out to me because it felt very electronic.
Yeah, it is like weirdly randomly electronic, but I don't care. It goes so hard.
Very late 90s. They're like, let's throw a little bit of
let's get some
vibe
synth in there.
here.
Yeah.
This was like
break out the keys.
Also like keep in mind like back in the day, like we didn't really have like a lot of songs on Spotify and stuff like that. And so the only way you could find or listen to the song was like YouTube like ripped videos of it. And so they were always like kind of like canned and tinny or like glitchy or whatever. There is a really good edit. So this is like random, but there's this really good edit that someone, like an AMV someone made of the moment when Sakura from Naruto cuts her hair and that song. They play that song.
The classic haircut, like that hair cutting moment.
Yeah, and I watched that a lot of times. So I was really excited when they finally added this soundtrack to Spotify. I was like, yes, can finally listen to this song.
There's just another unrelated note. There's an AMV as well called Fantasia.
Oh.
But it's fan and then period and then Tasia.
And it's a remix. I don't remember the original remix song. But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. And it's just like a supercut of a bunch of different transitions.
Yeah. And it's deeply impressive editing work. And like sometimes I watch it and it just gives you that like, you know, when you watch a Disney movie, I forget all other questions about, you know, the things surrounding an entertainment industry. But the feeling you get when you're watching a Disney movie and you're like, haha, nice.
Yeah.
It's just like a fun celebration of that. So sometimes I watch it and I'm like, oh, this makes me feel good.
That edit accomplishes what Disneyland hopes to accomplish with its theming of like, it's all
here,
one vibe and it's all together and you can buy the merch at the same time. No, it's a really good video. We talk about this a little bit in the previous episodes before we even start, but I want to bring it up again in a maybe more structured way. And I know there's a reason for this. I know that it's literally just saving on animation budget. But the fact that Cheng's army, his group of recruits goes from presumably like 100 people, judging by the size of the camp, down to like maybe a few dozen people, down to like maybe a dozen people, down to 6 or 7, down to 3 by the time they're walking into the palace, seemingly with no casualties. I know it's literally just saving an animation budget, but it feels like they're just losing people along the way. Just desertion.
I mean, some of them maybe died in that like pre-avalanche. No, but like the army doesn't actually reach them. Yeah. No, so maybe they just got swept up in the avalanche. Whoops.
It's a testament to the vibes that I guess maybe on some level I recognized it, but I never like actually cared.
Yeah. It only really hit me in that big zoom out of like the post-avalanche when like the snow is settled and you see that little clump of soldiers like behind that rock and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not an army.
Yeah.
Did the rest die?
Maybe they didn't make it on the journey. Yeah, they were just sort of like, I'm tired of this. And they like ran away.
Yeah, they're singing about like who they want to marry, and they're just dropping like flies.
Yeah. They're like,
Forced march.
They're like, I found my girl. Goodbye. I don't need to fight for her.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I guess.
It's the nice version.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave now. Good luck fighting.
They definitely
the army.
wouldn't just get beheaded for like deserting.
No, they'd be pretty bad.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you're busy singing, having a good time.
And then the realities of war hit you.
Speaking of the realities of war, those backdrops, like especially in the battle scene,
Yeah.
versus like just really, really stunning. But also, I think they're like paying homage to like classic Chinese like watercolor.
Yeah,
looks
I
like.
think so. Also, specifically, like anytime there's like a little puff of smoke,
Yeah.
it's always drawn in the style that a lot of Chinese paintings or like a lot of like ceramics also have this style. I think like that's like a neat stylistic choice for this movie.
It feels subtle in the fact that like you don't watch the movie and think about it
Yeah.
because they really got to keep that like classic Disney style.
Mm-hmm.
But man, such a nice touch. Whenever we'd cut to like a mountain, I'd be like, oh, it's kind of watercolory. That's
Yeah.
nice.
In A Girl Worth Fighting For, also when they are walking, they do pay a lot of homage to like iconic landmarks or places to visit in China, I think. A good place to showcase that, I guess, when they're on a journey.
Yeah.
Oh man, that song was so rough when we were learning it for the
Oh.
for the theater production. Getting just like 15 high schoolers to like march in formation when we have no band. There's no band in my school. We never marched in our life. Like, all right, everyone walk forward. Forward. 3 steps forward. No, together. All right, we're going to try spinning now. A nightmare.
You could say you were at the later end of that forced march, so the ranks are kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
Girl worth fighting for.
Yeah, maybe they all died of disease.
I think most ancient warfare, most people died of disease. Isn't that the case?
I think so.
Or like drowning on like failed ocean crossings.
Yes.
If you're the Romans.
Yeah.
Michael knows.
Yeah. Our lovely new fleet. Oh, God, they're all dead.
Oh, try again.
This one, oh, God, they're all dead.
Another thing we talked about before, they have cannons. One of you classify them as heavy infantry because of like their armor and their cannons and stuff, right? Like Cheng soldiers.
I guess. Because they have
But like they have so many cannons. Would they be like artillery?
I guess so. I guess that's what they are.
They have cannons and they have archers and they kind of do everything. I don't know. I can't really speak.
If it's anything like feudal, like early feudal warfare, it's kind of just understood that like all able-bodied men normally, like you just own some weapons and you use them to farm or whatever. But if we go to war, all you just pick up your weapons and come line up and we're going to go fight their neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the general idea.
Yeah. And you only get like standing armies in times of like prolonged warfare or like later in history when they're like, oh, we need this because military stuff's getting more sophisticated.
I was trying to Google it, see if someone had done like a Quora entry, but nothing really. It's just like, what kind of soldiers were the soldiers in Mulan? It's like, they were the soldiers of the Imperial Army. I'm like, all right.
Thank you.
This movie makes me want juk so bad. Or kanji or, the other variety of rice porridge names.
It does look really good.
It does look really good.
Like, even when it's grotesque and it's like Mushu's like trying to stuff Mulan's face with food, I'm like,
that's my thing I think like
want...
they were trying to be like, oh, it's kind of gross. And I'm like, no, but it's good.
I don't think they were. I think they were just, because it could have been oatmeal.
That's true.
It's just like a porridge.
Maybe...
And there was a smiley face on it.
There was a smiley face.
There was. That's all. Like, you definitely wouldn't have bacon. But maybe it's because when I was growing up, that was sort of like the general sentiment of like, oh, like what's that you're eating? It's just wet rice. I don't know.
Like from other kids or
from
from
other kids.
Okay, yeah.
Also, sorry, Mom, but your joke did not taste right.
Oh, shots fired.
Victoria waited till she was out of state.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, your juke was delicious. If this was a competition.
One of us is a better child. No, I'm kidding. No,
Hey, Mom, could you try making jokes?
It's easy. You just need like a little bit of rice and a lot of water, and you just kind of stir it a bunch.
Okay, no. But here's the thing. Like, the last time I made juk when I wasn't feeling well, I like looked up a recipe where I like used chicken broth and like chicken thighs, and you like slow cook the porridge until, because I prefer like a more porridgey consistency. My mom's is like more watery, and she also doesn't use a lot of flavoring. So mine was really good in comparison. And I also I like to add like cilantro and spring onions and then sesame oil on top.
Oh.
And it's really good.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
You ever go to dim sum and get the rice porridge that has the 1,000-year eggs or whatever they're called, and century eggs in them?
Yeah.
And yes.
I've never gotten it because for us, it's not worth it.
It's hard to it's really hard to
You're
justify.
Like, why would I pay for this when I could just make it at home for like nothing?
For me, it was like the century egg justifies
That's fair,
it.
yeah.
Because I can make rice porridge.
Buy those.
I know.
Yeah.
I was also a child.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Wait, what's a century egg?
It's also called tea eggs. Basically, you take an egg.
Tea eggs are actually different from century eggs.
Maybe
century
I don't
eggs
know.
is like a specific.
From what I understand, it's basically like a preserved egg that's like wrapped in like mud and straw. And the version I'm thinking of is like tea leaves, so maybe that's a tea egg.
Don't
Okay,
make me
so-
ask if it's preserved for a century because
No.
No. So they're preserved in a mixture of clay, ash, salt, quicklime, and rice hulls for several weeks to several months, depending on the processing method. And then through the process, the yolk becomes dark greenish gray in color with a creamy consistency and a strong flavor. And then the whites become dark brown, almost black.
Oh,
and
really?
it's kind of
I've
like
had this.
translucent.
Yeah.
I always wondered what was up with those eggs, but I didn't care to think too much because I was like, tasty.
Yeah.
They're really pungent and strong, like have a very strong flavor. But if you like cut them up into little pieces and put them in a big bowl of like rice porridge, brilliant, amazing.
I'm personally not a big preserved egg fan, but I'm also not really an egg fan. I do like tea eggs though. Tea eggs are sort of like the lower effort version where you just like make a brine of like soy sauce and ginger and like a bunch of other seasonings. And then you like put the eggs in there and they can marinate for either just a day or if you let them marinate for a week, they're even better.
Yeah, some people make those for like ramen. I guess Koreans call those crack eggs because they're addicting like crack. That's the term I've heard. I was like,
Yeah.
But
But
really
also
good.
like some people like you can either fully peel the egg so that like you get that like brown tea stained color all around, or you can just like crack the shell so that the marinade sort of like it creates like a crackly pattern on the egg, which is fun.
Yeah.
So I really like making those. They're really great for I make them in a batch at the beginning of the week and then I just have it for breakfast with rice.
It's a really good way to use old eggs. Or not like eggs that are about to go bad because you boil them, stop them going bad, and then you marinate them. And then you're like, even if these are bad, they taste great. And then you eat
Gosh, I wish I had the both of your like just general culinary capability. Because even then, this is a full tangent, but I'll see you come in with like food that you've made, or if it, like a mason jar of like soup that looks to me like it's its own biome, and I'm like, that looks so pretty and delicious, and I'm like,
It's not
let's
that
whip
hard
out the
to make.
peanut butter and the jelly, and
It's actually pretty easy.
I'm
Takes me like
sure.
30 minutes to make 4.
Yeah.
So
I think cooking, especially like cooking foods from like different cultures, may seem very intimidating. But like I think something that's true across all cultures is that there is a bulk of like staple recipes that are very, very simple. And the complexity comes from like technique and like local differences. Like a lot of like classic Italian pastas are just like 4 or 5 ingredients. But they're really a stickler about those ingredients. They're like, you gotta stir it this way or whatever, you know? Like a lot of like basic Korean foods are just like, I don't know, put it in a bowl. We got some stuff, put it in a bowl.
I mean, to be
national
fair,
dish.
that's like almost a guaranteed S tier strat.
yeah.
Put it in a bowl.
Put it in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Add some water sometimes if you're feeling like it. Make it hot.
Yeah. Love food. Anyways, this just derailed into us talking about food.
There's not even a lot of food in this movie, and yet the food that they do show is like, I would want some of that.
Okay, except for the one scene where Mulan is having dinner with her family, but they're eating nothing.
Wait, really?
They have like this one final meal the night before her father's supposed to go to war.
Yeah.
And it's a very somber event, so you're not really thinking about the food, but like they're sitting around an empty table.
Oh.
And like they're just kind of drinking tea and like eating rice, I think. But like typical Chinese meals, you have like at least a protein, a vegetable, and like some kind of like other thing.
Yeah.
Usually it's like a standard is like at least 2 to 3 dishes of like stuff, and then it's communal eating, so you just pick what you want into your bowl and you have it with rice. But they weren't eating anything. And I think it's funny.
I didn't pick up on that at all. That's like sitting down for dinner and they hand you out like Wonder Bread and they're like, dig in.
Yeah. Like, I know that the focus is mainly on, like, oh, everyone's not feeling great because, like, it's sort of almost basically a death sentence for her father. Like, he already served in a war. Like, he served in the army before and he's gotten injured. And he's now a lot older, so there's no way that he sort of makes it.
I mean, what does it even look like, though? When you show up for service and you're like, here I am, ready to go. And you're just like an older man with a serious injury. They turn you away, you're a liability.
Well, maybe. Depends on
I mean, the guy who's giving out the conscription notice didn't think about that. He didn't really care.
Yeah, but he's kind of slimy guy.
I was thinking, because I was like, Mulan almost gets sent home by Cheng because he's like, you're not cut out for this.
Yeah.
And I was like, that could have happened to her father. But I think like this is where it kind of goes into like the really like ingrained sense of duty that a lot of Chinese people have, where it's like, even if you're not as able-bodied, you still feel like it would be a dishonor to not serve.
Yeah. Just could have driven the wagon or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
Shout encouraging phrases.
The question is like, because we got like Mulan's experience, because they probably looked at her and they're like, you have no experience. We got to send you to like the beginner's camp. But maybe because he served in the army previously, he would have just been like shuttled off to the front lines immediately just to like be a body, you know? I don't know. It definitely wouldn't have ended well regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some killer lines in this.
Dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow. That one's really iconic.
I had a Mushu piggy bank when I was a kid. It was electronic. It was literally in the shape of Mushu.
But he's like a noodle. Yeah. He's a long dragon.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like a tall, thin piggy bank.
Okay.
And whenever you drop a coin into it, he would say a quote. And there was also like a button too for like a quote from the movie.
Huh.
And it was kind of like one of those haunt your dreams, like haunt your nightmares sort of thing. Because it's like kind of old and like, you know, Eddie Murphy doesn't sound great through this like toy speaker, whatever. And sometimes it just goes off in the middle of the night. You're like, shut up, Mushu, shut up, shut up. Please stop yelling at me.
Just hearing in the middle of the night, dishonor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another, I mean, this is not a line, but this moment always makes me laugh. It's when the 3 main soldier guys, Yao, Ling, and Qianpo, they like are like, we gotta help Mulan, and they like run towards the army, and it's just like the 3 of them against like a wave of like incoming avalanche / Huns, and they're like, never mind, and they turn back and run. It's one of those like, because they're like, yeah. And my brother and I, we literally watched that and then we rewound it and then we watched it again and we're just like dying laughing because it's so funny.
It's such a perfect like golden thing when you find something that does that for you, where you're like, I can just keep like I just keep,
it's like
keep
that
on
moment,
watching this.
And in Shrek when Fiona like jumps up in the air and like does the splits and like kicks 2 guys in the face. Those 2 moments where you're like, this is the peak of comedy for us.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Physical comedy.
Yeah.
I found the bank. That's what it looks like.
Oh, so the bank itself isn't Mushu. It's that big blue thing at its base.
Yeah, I hadn't quite remembered the shape and the function. But
I gotta say, he looks scary.
He is scary. He's kind of like bendy a little bit too.
Oh.
The eyes seem a little misaligned, so he looks a little unhinged.
Yeah, but he's a collector's item. Oh, it danced too, so it would move.
Oh my gosh.
Made it even, it'd be like, made it even worse. Terrifying.
Wow. That sort of does the opposite thing. Like, you don't want to save money if every time you put the coins in, it does a creepy little dance.
Yeah. Luckily, I was like 7, so I had a lot of cash on hand.
That's true.
I was trying to think. Wasn't there... Oh, when when Cheng goes up to her and she's like waiting for and he's like, you fight good. and you can just see her completely deflate and she's like, oh, okay.
And then the
bye.
Emperor literally has to go up to Cheng and be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, it's a perfect moment where he does the whole like a regal like, the flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all. And he's like, sir? And he just gives him this like hard stare and just, you don't meet a girl like that every dynasty. And then the grandma at the end, like, she brought home a sword. You should ask me, she should have brought home a man. And he's like, hello, like Cheng, perfect Cheng, as she's saying that, walks up in his full, like, regalia.
Hi. Hello there.
I'm looking for Mulan. And the grandma's like, woo, sign me up for the next war.
Are like, whoa. The grandma kills me because, like, she's so funny because at the beginning, like, the mom is, like, praying to the ancestors, like, please, like, help Mulan make a match. And then the grandma is like, what are the ancestors going to do? But then, like, as soon as Mulan leaves, she's like, actually, please, ancestors, like, protect her. Yeah. And then, at the end, she's just like, Mulan, I knew she'd be fine, but when is she getting married? That's the real question.
Yeah. Sort of that, like, phase you go through as a grandparent where you don't have as much of a stake in things anymore. You still care a lot, but like people respect you enough you can't just say whatever you want now. You've kind of earned that, right?
Yeah.
Your hot takes will do less damage.
Yeah. Or more damage.
Potentially. Maybe. Yeah. Depends on how hard you mean them and how hot they are.
Yeah.
Mulan's reunion with her father, though, just really got me.
Oh, my gosh.
It's, like, so emotional because, first of all, like, already the moment when, like, everyone bows to her because she saved China, like, that's already, like, a really grand and impactful moment. But then, like, when she goes home, like, her first thought is, like, Dad, I brought you, like, the sword to, like, represent my heroism, and I brought the seal of the Emperor to show, like, I'm not gonna die for my heroism. And he's like, he basically like, throws it on the ground, and he's like, I don't care, like, my daughter is home. And I was like,
He like doesn't even look at it either.
I love Mulan's relationship with her dad. I mean, I think it's also because I have a similar relationship with my dad.
Well, there was that time where you adopted his identity and went to war in his place. You don't talk about it often, but
happened to my friend Mulan once. No, but I think like just the way that he's so like gently supportive of her and who she is. At the same time, he is like, no, you like, unfortunately, you do have to like marry and fulfill like this role, but he is a very good father, and he's like, I just want you to be safe and happy, and I'm proud of you, you know? It's great.
I was surprised. I didn't remember how short that initial conversation on the bench under the tree was. I remembered it as being a whole conversation about like stakes and future and stuff instead of a very brief attempt at connection foiled by military recruitment.
Yeah.
Because I know in the movie it's like much longer and it's about chi.
Oh, no. We can't talk about it.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah. Instead, should we talk about bisexual legend Cheng?
We were waiting for it. It was the unspoken truth just sort of simmering beneath all of this. Perfect man.
He is a relatable king. Hot take, like in this most recent rewatch, I didn't feel any connection between Cheng and Mulan really until the very end.
Yeah.
They felt very like, just like soldier, like
I mean, I think it is
arms.
right that at the end of the movie, like they don't have the like, oh, and we're suddenly so in love. Like it's more of like, do you want to stay for dinner? Let's like actually get to know each other, which is more appropriate. And then if you watched Mulan 2, which I did, I actually really liked Mulan 2 as a kid. I know it's like really problematic in a lot of ways, but you know, I enjoyed it. So
that's
yeah,
you know.
But in that one, it's more focused on like their relationship, and the whole like premise is like Mushu is trying to break them up.
Mushu, come on.
Yeah. Again, Mushu being like the driving factor of a lot of the plot, but Mushu is trying to break them up because he's like, oh, when Mulan marries Cheng, she'll become part of his family. And so I will lose my job as her guardian and I'll be demoted again to like bell ringer.
Man.
And it's like
character
he basically like
yeah.
he makes them like think that they're too different for each other and that their relationship is doomed because they don't work well together. But like mainly it's because he is getting in their way. Like he's purposely like making them have misunderstandings and conflicts.
There's like a whole line of those like Disney sequels.
Yeah.
Like the straight to DVD or whatever.
Yeah.
Straight to TV that I don't know why
Yeah.
they went that way.
But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of like actual building of Cheng and Mulan's relationship in the movie.
And that doesn't need to be.
And it doesn't need to be because there's a war, you know?
Yeah, it's not really the point.
Yeah.
But I remembered there being a little more. And there really wasn't anything, which is fine.
Really, all you get is like Mulan kicks him in the face and he's like impressed. And people compare it that people say that he smiles like the way that Nala looks at Simba.
To be kicked in the face.
Well, you know, everybody's got something, and he's like, I like a strong soldier.
Yeah.
He's very worried when Mulan passes out because of her injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when, like, he rushes in the tent, you could see the relief and joy on his face when he's like, you're alive.
Yeah. If they did a remake of Mulan, which they've never done, but if they did a remake of Mulan, they could really play into that more, I think, of like that sort of like tension.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of like, wait, but you're a man. Why do I feel like this? But of course, they never make a remake of Mulan. They never do that.
It was just the animated version.
Yeah.
Well, I think like because there's obviously been many adaptations of Mulan, and my Chinese teacher showed us some clips from one that was made like after the 1998 one, I think in like early 2000s, and that's like a much grittier like we're in war type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one is more faithful to the original in the sense of like we spend more time with Mulan like in war, and so I think it makes sense that she and her love interest would have more time to like develop a relationship. But you know, it's the animated one is like an hour and a half, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, real nice, real excellent wardrobe. I love the soldier's armor. They just even the green trim is just the perfect green. Shang's cape is the perfect red.
Yeah.
And very specific, but I've always thought this. His dad's outfit, especially that helmet with like the two hawk feathers coming off the top. I'm like, that's a real nice outfit.
Should have kept that
You
helmet.
should have kept that helmet. Instead, you
He
turned it
gets
into
his
a
own in
memorial.
the second movie.
His own
His
helmet?
own like helmet with the feathers.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. The second movie gave us something, you know?
Yeah.
Nice to get something.
I saw some people saying like they're really glad that Cheng takes off his shirt for the entirety of Be a Man. And it's just like he doesn't put it on again. It's like even at night when he's like telling Mulan like, hey, you gotta leave.
True.
He's still shirtless.
It's been days, maybe weeks, and he's not put his shirt on.
Well, you know.
He's got to show off for Mulan. Or Ping.
Ping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the other guys there, he's got to be like, hey, I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you have to look forward to if you can be a man.
Yeah.
This has a father that can make some soup.
Yes. I love that song. Make some soup. That's the Ratatouille version. Be a rat. Something, something, something. Make some soup.
Something, 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 ratatouille. Something, 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 popular.
Popular. Gonna be
Popular.
Oh, man.
You're gonna make some soup, and I'll eat soup that you have made.
This is the best version of all these songs.
Yeah.
It's got these more
You've
soup.
done like such like a crazy like mashup. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well, any last Mulan thoughts?
I thought you were gonna say any last words.
Any last words?
Any last words?
All of China knows you're here now.
That's so iconic. That one, it's been memed to death, but it's so funny every time.
Was it now all of China knows you're here?
Yeah. People will change it to be like, now. Like, I'm trying to think of an example.
Now all of Twitter knows you're here or something?
Now all of Twitter knows
You're weird.
you're weird. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I wanted to say, like, it did strike me that, like, the fact that Mulan is pretending to be a man when she, like, doesn't really, like, get them, and she kind of has, like, some disdain for them. She's like, oh, they're gross, and, like, I don't understand. It's just, like, funny to me, and it works really well, because you're just, like, you want her to pull it off, but you're also like, ooh, you don't really know like who you're trying to imitate at the same time, so it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, honestly, the fact she doesn't get caught for the way she's going, very impressive.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I would have probably about as much success as she did trying to hawk a loogie.
That's true.
Never successfully hawked a
skill.
loogie.
Yeah.
I don't care to try.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything morally wrong with hawking a loogie.
If there's my random tangent, my dad can hawk a loogie. My dad, like no one's business. Like,
Wow.
if there was a competition, he'd be able to hit a dead bullseye on a target from like a distance. And I wish I had that because there's just
They
sometimes
need training
you gotta,
for that in the Army, you know?
Yeah. With all the force of a hawked loogie.
Well, on that note.
On that note,
Thank you for listening to Nostalgia Club. I do this every time and it always goes terribly. But here we go. We have an email address at nostalgiclubpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your suggestions, comments, questions, concerns, theories. You can also contact us on Instagram at nostalgiclubpodcast. We are also under the umbrella of MouseKnight Studios.
And we make podcasts.
And we make podcasts like Ghost Inspectors, which you can find on any podcast platform, written and directed by Victoria Cheng. Listen now, or else.
we're sending you to fight the Huns.
Yeah. And please rate 5 stars. It really, really helps us out. If you want to support us financially, we have a Ko-fi. And until next time.
Are you as swift as a coursing river?
I thought you were about to say, are you a man? It's like a very yeah or no? Really,
Right in.
right in.
Are you?
Just polling our demographics here.
I mean, I gotta say, like, in terms of, like, again, a movie that intentionally or not explores gender roles, I like that the song about being a man did not confine it to, like, oh, in order to be a man, you gotta be able to lift, like, 100 pounds and like, do this and that. It's just, are you swift as a coursing river with all the force of a great typhoon? With all the strength of a raging fire? Are you mysterious as the dark side of the moon? That's how you become a man.
I don't know about that last one. The mysterious. I don't know. Like other ones are like traditional, like physical, like gendered physical traits. But like the mysterious one, I don't know where that's coming from.
That almost feels very like
men don't talk about themselves, and you gotta be really mysterious.
Like urban fantasy YA. Is he mysterious as the dark side?
I don't know. You guys tell me. How do you feel about the portrayal of masculinity in Mulan?
It serves the purpose for the narrative that makes sense within the narrative and is entertaining and ironic and also manages to be aspirational in its irony. Like we're able to laugh at it, but also be pumped up by it.
Yeah. I think for the time it was very innovative. I think now in retrospect, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of runtime. It doesn't care to, dive into it, but it doesn't need to. Like, we don't need to criticize it for that because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I don't think, do anything wrong. It just doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Which is okay. The song's a banger.
Yeah, it really is.
Mulan kicks butt.
Mm-hmm.
And Cheng, wow. Feels weird saying that because that was me for a while. So I don't have the same sort of visceral reaction to Cheng that other people do because I'm kind of like, well, he doesn't really fit in his armor.
It's my shadow self.
He doesn't really fit in his armor, and his sword's made of wood, and he's having a hard time emoting on stage.
And he's really awkward around Mulan.
He's really awkward around Mulan because he's not sure what's an act and what's real.
You must be swift as my best friend Jino. With all the force of my best friend Jino.
So that means you can run a 16-minute mile.
With all the strength of my best friend Jino.
You can lift maybe 40 pounds?
With a mysterious as my best friend Gino's room.
You've seen my room, Michael.
Yeah. It's not that mysterious, I guess.
It's like bed and desk and dresser.
And cats.
And cats. Yeah, they're there too. Legally, 1 cat.
I was speaking in metaphor.
Yeah.
Your 1 cat feels like multiple cats.
Yeah, legally, I have 1 cat. And there's one of them.
There is a plurality of mammals in Gino's apartment.
They're like Russian doll cats where you can stab.
That's a terrifying image.
I'm so
You
sorry.
have one large cat, and then it kind of like tenses up, and then the second cat just like pops out. No, don't do that again. I can't. Cat food's expensive. I can't do that again. Don't do it again. No.
Oh my gosh. This is an amazing rendition of the song.
I'm flattered, but the bar is very low. You've set the bar very low.
I think it's a high bar.
No, you've set a bunch of physical goals that can be easily surpassed by a significant portion of the population.
Well, guess what? This is an audio medium, so now the listener just gets to imagine you, but like Cheng, just animated Cheng, and that's frankly a level to which no man can match.
I don't know what that means.
Is it like your face on Shang's body?
Oh no, Cheng's face on my body. No.
No, that's also...
Well,
That's also
we're
bad.
talking about 2D art animation.
Now the thumbnail for this episode is going to be
No.
Gina's face.
No.
I would love that.
We don't need to do that.
I have the power.
We don't need to do that.
And then paste my face on Sean Yu.
Oh, yeah!
That's
then-
not a problem at all.
I'll be the cricket. It's too cliche for me to be Mulan, so I'll be the cricket.
I don't think it's too cliche. As we've established, you did go to war.
Can I
in
be
your
the
father's stead.
cricket? I'll be the cricket. I got no lines and I just get into hijinks.
If we're going to go that route, then make me the horse.
All right, we got a horse and 2 crickets.
Just copy-pasted cricket with...
I love Mulan. My favorite characters are the horse and the 2 crickets.